Yes, yes.
All right. Okay. Yesterday we had a wonderful session as we were being taught by Sonevas about the importance of purpose. So yesterday we were looking at purpose, and we learned quite a number of things about how that purpose is very, very important for one to discover. Purpose is very important for one to discover that as a human being, you need to discover your purpose because it is your purpose that makes you unique. And we're also taught that we are employed or rather hired for our differences, for our uniqueness, and we are fired for our similarities or our sameness. Yeah, and that your purpose, your difference is your advantage. So that really impacted me so much, and I kept on meditating on it. And there's so much value in those statements, because once you understand what your purpose is, then everything becomes simplified. Your life becomes simplified, and purpose is very, very important because it makes us necessary. All right, it makes us necessary, meaning that uh you'll be important to me because what you have I do not have, and I'll be important to you because what I have and what I have to offer you don't have. That was a very great teaching. It was a very powerful teaching. uh I'm looking forward to more, where we are going to be taken deeper into the aspects of purpose and all that. Now, today, this evening, we are going to look at one of the most important topic, which is this is one of my favorite topics. All right, one of my favorite topics. One of my favorite topics, which is the mind. I don't know why, but I just love talking about the mind because I think if we can understand the operations of the mind, then we are going to really, really um, achieve so much in our lives. We're going to do so much in our life because everything that God has really given us to do in life cannot be done without the use of the mind. So for me, I think I'm so obsessed about the mind. I really want to understand how this mind operates. And it's also my passion to share with as many people as I can on how the mind operates and how one can just take advantage of this tool called the mind to achieve success in life. So in this class today, we are going to look at how you can reprogram your mind for success. How you can reprogram your mind for success. And after the end of this meeting, you are free to ask questions. You are free to comment. You are free to also share your own understanding of the same topic. So let's begin. So how do you reprogram your mind for success? So what we're going to look at in this topic is that at the end of the lesson, all right, what I want to see at the end of the lesson is that you will be able to define what the mind is. All right, so these are objectives. So at the end of the lesson, at the end of this teaching that I'm going to conduct, this presentation, is you are going to be able to define what the mind is. You will know what the mind is, not just knowing the word mind, but you will actually know what the mind is. Okay. Nevas, please help me to mute the mics. So you know what the mind is. Okay, so you know what the mind is, and you will also understand what thoughts are. So there's a big difference between the mind and thoughts. All right, so the mind is a container, and thoughts are content of the container. So the mind cannot work without thoughts, and thoughts cannot exist independent of the mind. So this is going to help you to know what are thoughts, and also you'll be able to learn how the mind influences your life in the positive or negative way. You also learn how to reprogram your mind to achieve the success that you want in life. So it's going to be quite comprehensive, and we're going to look at quite a number of things that will help you to reprogram your mind in order to achieve the success that you want to achieve in your life. All right, so now, what is the mind? the first question that obviously we would want to answer is, what is the mind? And already, as you can see on the screen, I have quite a number of definitions that I have put up for you so that you can really understand what the mind is. So the mind is the faculty of thought and reason. Now, remember, I said thoughts cannot exist independent of the mind, all right? And the mind cannot exist independent of thoughts. So thoughts and mind, all right, they need each other, all right? So thoughts are content of the mind, and the mind is a container. So if you visualize the mind as a container, all right, just visualize the mind as a container, and then whatsoever is going to be found in the container is what we call thoughts. All right, so the mind is a faculty of thought and reason. It's a faculty of thought and reason. It holds the power of imagination, recognition, and appreciation. All right. So it is also responsible for processing feelings and emotions resulting to attitude. So this is what the mind does. So number one, it holds the power of imagination. All right. It also holds the power of recognition and also holds the power of what? Appreciation. Now, each of these are, topics on their own, which we can go into deeply and begin to look at them, but we are not going to do that in this lesson because our task is very, very short and simple. All right. So it is responsible for processing feelings and emotions resulting to attitude. So your mind processes feelings. So how you feel in your body, how you feel, all right, about certain things, those feelings are processed by the mind. So when information gets into your mind, the mind then begins to process that information. The result of that processing of that information is going to produce what we call feelings, emotions, that will then result to what? Attitude. Okay, so the mind is quite comprehensive, all right? It's quite deep, and we really need to take so much attention looking at what the mind is and what it really does. So the mind is the information processing center of the human being. All right, what does that mean? It collects information from the nervous system through the sensory neurons. And when we talk about the sensory neurons, we're talking about the 5 senses: the sense of sight, the sense of touch, the sense of hearing, the sense of smell, and also maybe the sense of what other sense? That taste, of course, the sense of taste. So 5 senses. All right. So once these sensory neurons receive that information through the nervous system, the information is then passed to the mind where it is processed. Okay. Also, at the same time, the mind receives information from the spirit. As we know, man is a spirit. He has a soul and lives in the body. So spiritual information goes through the spirit, then it is passed on to the mind, then the mind processes that information in order to have meaning or to interpret that information, what sort it is, then it passes it on to other aspects of your body for of course, execution. So the processing and the eventual interpretation of information by the mind determines what we call the human behavior. So once the information gets into the mind and then that information is processed by the mind, the end result of that processing of information is what is going to create what we call a behavior, or rather an attitude. So whenever you see a person displaying a certain type of an attitude, a certain type of a behavior, that behavior is as a result of the mental processes of the information that that person has received. Okay, so the information, once it is received, it is then processed, and then that processing of that information is what then going to determine a human behavior or attitude. Now, what are thoughts? So we have just looked at what the mind is. Then what are thoughts? So thoughts are the creation, recalling, reviewing, and the processing of image for meaning, language, and expression. Now, many of us will just say, I have a thought, all right? But we don't really know what is a thought actually. So a thought could be you just creating something, that is you imagining something, all right? Whenever you engage into the process of imagining, that imagination is also called a thought, all right? It's you creating a thought. Whenever you engage yourself into trying to remember something, the recalling of something, that process of recalling something is called a thought. All right. The reviewing something, you're trying to review something, that aspect of reviewing something is called a thought. And the processing of image, remember, the mind reads information in form of pictures. All right. It reads information in form of pictures. So those pictures, if for example I say a spoon, all right, if I say a spoon, your mind, or that word spoon, all right, is going to be, it's not going to be viewed as the word spoon, which is SPOON, but it's going to be viewed as a literal spoon. All right. So the mind thinks in pictures. So mostly thoughts are pictures, are images of the mind. This is why when you are thinking, you are also imagining at the same time. You cannot think without imagining. You always think in form of pictures. Are you getting that? So that is very, very, very powerful. So that thinking in terms of pictures is what we call a thought. So that image that is in your mind when you are thinking is what we call a thought. So a thought or thoughts are pictures of the mind with constructive or destructive possibilities, and they function with or within human emotion. So what makes thoughts to even be more powerful is the fact that thoughts cannot function independent of human emotions. This is why if you're thinking about something bad, even your body, you feel it in your body that what you're thinking is evil. If you're thinking something good, you will feel it in your body that what you're thinking is something good. All right, because it makes you feel good. So a good thought will make you feel good, and a bad thought will make you feel bad. So actually, you can be able to determine what type of a thought you are thinking by how you are feeling in your body. So if you're not feeling too well, that's a sign that your mind is not thinking straight. If you're feeling good, confident, powerful, it's a sign that your mind is thinking is thinking good. All right. So those thoughts, all right, they function with and within human emotions. So thoughts have the ability to affect your emotions, meaning that if it is a thought and it does not affect your emotions, then it's not a thought. So every thought that we have will always find expression in our emotions. Or what I can say is that a thought causes emotion. So you can be able to tell what you are feeling or what you are thinking by just, paying attention to how you are feeling. All right. And by you paying attention to how you are feeling, you'll be able to guide how you are thinking, or you'll be able to change that thought to start thinking something different. So the effect of your thought on your emotion creates what we call attitude. This is why you find that there are certain individuals that have bad attitude. Why would somebody have a bad attitude? Because their thinking is bad. So a person's attitude is a reflection of their thoughts, what they are thinking. I hope you get it. So thoughts are the creation, recalling, revealing, and the processing of image for meaning, reason, language, and expression. So a thought must have meaning. All right. So every thought must have meaning. So whenever a thought is being processed, it's going to be processed for a purpose of attaching meaning to that thought. So before that thought is expressed verbally or in action or in attitude, it must be attached meaning to by the mind so that it may be expressed. Okay. Now let's look at the attitude. So what is attitude? Attitude is the mental disposition. This is very powerful. All right. So all these are processes of the mind. All right. So attitude is the mental disposition. So attitude is the disposition to act in a certain way, determined by the mental processes of our feelings, emotions, belief, or reason. So that ability to behave or to act in a certain way is what we call attitude. So it is as a result of the mental processes, what is going on in your head, what is going on in your mind. So you can be able to tell what a person is thinking by just looking at how they are behaving or what their attitude is towards you. You'll be able to tell. And I believe you've been in a situation or in an environment where you can even sense the mood of the atmosphere. All right, whether that atmosphere is welcoming or it is hostile. Why? Because thoughts seek expression. All right, and their expression is usually through what we call attitude. All right, so if you want to change your mental disposition, all right, you want to change how you are thinking. Like I said at first, you need to observe how you are feeling. Once you observe how you are feeling, is what you're feeling okay? Is it okay? Is it okay with you? Is it sitting right with you? Then if you know that what I'm feeling is not okay, then you can change what you're thinking. So once you change what you're thinking, that then is going to produce a new feeling, which is then going to produce a new attitude. Okay. Now, you are responsible for your attitude. Many people think, oh, I woke up with a bad attitude. I just don't know why. Maybe today is not a good day. No, every day is good. It's your attitude that determines whether that day is going to be good for you or it's going to be bad for you. There is no bad day. There is no good day. Attitude makes it so. So you can now learn how to change your attitude, since we understand that attitude is as a result of the mental processes. You can be able to change your attitude towards your life, towards your friends, or towards your environment by changing what you are thinking. So attitude is a visible representation of the invisible processes of the mind. This is something that is so powerful. Okay, so your attitude, whether positive or negative, is the visible representation of the invisible processes of the mind. So to change your attitude, you must change the content of your mind process. All right, so what does that mean? It means if you want to change the outside, you must work on the inside. So much of the job that we must do as individuals is to change what we think. We need to change the content of our mind by bringing in new information, because as within, so without. This is something that is very powerful. Now, let's look at mind and success. All right, because we know that we all want to become successful. And what is success? Success is when you achieve your purpose, is when you accomplish your purpose. Success is the realization of a worthy ideal or your goal. So every one of us have goals, have things that we want to accomplish in our lives. So when we accomplish those things that we have purpose to accomplish in our lives, that is what is going to bring us success in life. Now, let us look at the mind and success. So your success is a direct reflection of how you think and not what you do. Now, this is something that is very powerful. All right, what does that mean? It is a direct reflection of what you think and not what you do, because we tie our success to the things that we do. Now, they can never be doing without thinking. So thinking goes before doing. Whatever you want to do, you will think about it first before you do it. So if you can have good thoughts, then you are going to have good do's, if I can use it in that sense. So if you have good thoughts will produce good activities. All right, good activities will lead to good success. So what you do is the product of how you think. So you cannot cheat you cannot there's a scripture in the Bible to say, what a man sows, that shall he also reap. Okay, so you cannot reap what you did not sow. In other words, you cannot reap what you did not plant. You cannot reap, yes, what you did not plant. So whatsoever you receive in your life experiences are the things that you've been planting in your mind. Okay, so when you look at your life right now, every result that you are getting, it's not because the economy is bad. It's not because things are bad in the world. It's not because the dollar is going up and and our currency keeps on depreciating. It's not even dependent on maybe the government of the day. It is all dependent on how you are thinking. So if you can change your thinking, you can change the results. So many other times we want to change the output. We want to change the output, what we are receiving, without changing the input. All right? Because if we can fix the input, the output will take care of itself. What do I mean by that? If you can fix what you think, all right, and how you think, all right, what you do as a result of how you think is going to take care of itself. Let's say if you start thinking in success terms, then your life and your body will move in the direction of your thoughts. So you cannot behave in a way that is different from the way you think. So Proverbs 23 verse 7, it says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Meaning that you are a direct reflection of your mind, what you think. Now, this is very much powerful because you need to understand in order to change the results that you are getting. So you are the direct expression of your thoughts, and what you think is what you become. So William James, who was a very famous American philosopher, said, man is what he thinks about all day long. Meaning that what I think about is what I become. All right? And I'll continue to be according to how I continue to think. So your life, whether success or failure, is what you have been thinking about all day long. So how your day has been today is how you have been thinking about it. All right? So you cannot cheat your life. You cannot cheat yourself. All right? You cannot deceive yourself. You always get what you put in. Okay, that's the irony of life. That's the mystery of life. So if we want to change our lives, we need to start changing how we think and the processes of our mind. Now, to become successful, how do you then become successful? So to become successful, all right, or to be a success that you want to be, you have to change how you think. All right? Change how you think. So your thinking reflects in your lifestyle, choices, and decision and behavior. So your thinking is a source of your belief. Many of us, we think, okay, I don't care what life is going to, how my life is going to be. No, you should care. Why? Because you are the architect of your own life, right? You are the captain of your own life. The life that you are living is your responsibility. It is not anybody's responsibility. So everything that you want to achieve in your life, you must first see them in your mind. They say creation happens twice. It happens first in the mind, then it happens physically. Everything that we see physically were first created in the mind. So the life that you want to have, you must first create it in your mind by developing the right thinking, by developing the right thoughts. Then from there, you can now begin to replicate it outside. Okay, so your thinking is a source of your belief. What does that mean? Your belief comes from your thinking. Everything that you've come to believe now is as a result of your thinking. And your thinking is as a result of the information and the content of the mind. As we said, the mind does not work independent of thoughts, right? So the thinking of a man is as a result of the content which is in his mind, whether good or bad. So that content, the more you begin to think about it, you come to a level of justification where you justify that content, where you validate that content. Once that information is validated, it becomes your belief. Now, belief is very much powerful, and belief is what determines whether you're going to be successful or you're going to be a failure. So what you believe is what you become. You see, what you believe is what you become. So your thinking creates your belief. Now, your belief, all right, then creates your philosophy. So your philosophy of life, all right, your philosophy of life, your philosophy of things around you is as a result of what you've come to believe. So if you believe that money is hard to make, that becomes your philosophy of life. So for you, in order to make money, you have to sweat. Why? Because that has become your belief, which has become your philosophy, because you've been thinking about it as a result of the information that you have received that money is hard to make. Now, once you embrace that philosophy that money is hard to make, it becomes your behavior. Meaning that the way you behave in line with your philosophy. In other words, you behave consistent with your philosophy. So your philosophy becomes a mirror that then reflects your behavior. Now, after the behavior is crystallized, it becomes a habit, because if you behave in a certain way consistently, it becomes a habit. And once that habit is formed, your habit then is what is going to create your destiny that will then influence your future. So you can see that it all comes down to how we think, meaning that if we can alter our thinking pattern, we are going to alter our future. If we can just tilt our thinking by 1 degree and move in that direction, by the time we are going to get into our future, we'll be far away from where we began, which is very, very powerful. So meaning that the change that a person wants to see in their lives is a change which they do inside of them by changing how they think. Now, this is so much powerful, and I want you to think about it. Now, how do you reprogram your mind? Now we are getting to the meat of this class this evening. So how do you reprogram your mind? Now, we have looked at so much about the mind. We've looked at what the mind is, the thoughts, attitude, which is the disposition, which is our mental disposition, and how we can become successful by, developing certain types of thinking. Now, the question is, how do you reprogram your mind? If your mind has been thinking in a particular way, how do you change that one? How do you then begin to think in a different direction? How do you make a 360 degrees U-turn to start thinking differently? Because once you renovate or you reinvent your thinking, that is going to reinvent your life. And we are all here to reinvent our life. We don't want to repeat 2023 into 2024. You get it? You don't want to be living the same lifestyle year in and year out. There is power within you, and you can change that. You can shift that. So how do we do that? So there are 2 methods by which a man can reprogram their mind. The first one is what we call heterosuggestion. Now, what is heterosuggestion, and where is this word coming from? So heterosuggestion, it means external suggestion. And why do I mean external suggestion? Heterosuggestion is where you begin to reprogram your mind. You begin to reprogram the sources of the mind, or the information which is in your mind, using the influence of someone else. Let me give you an example. A hypnotist, all right? Somebody who hypnotizes people. Let's say if you were to be hypnotized, all right, into behaving differently, okay? Obviously, if you are suggestible, you begin to behave differently. However, that suggestion is coming from somebody else, and many of us we are so suggestible, if I can use that word. We are so suggestible. In other words, we are in a constant state of hypnosis. We are in a constant state of what? Hypnosis. What is a constant state of hypnosis? We don't really care who influences what we think. Most of the things that we think about are not our thoughts. They are not our own thoughts. Much of the information that we have, much of the information that we have come to believe, much of the information that we have come to develop our philosophies of life on are not our very own information. It is the information that was given to us by other people that we don't even know. How? Maybe through repetition. Let me give you an example. You are seated in class, and then the teacher begins to tell you to say, you are a fool. You will not go anywhere. You cannot amount to anything. That is heterosuggestion. That teacher is suggesting to you a thought that you begin now to entertain in your mind, and then you begin to believe it. So the moment you believe what the teacher tells you, that teacher has suggested something to you, which has now become a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is why it is very much careful to guard your mind. All right. So many of us, we are where we are because we received bad suggestions. And that bad suggestion is what has created the kind of people that we are today. Maybe you were taught that you cannot become a medical doctor, and you believed the guy. You were told you cannot do this, and you believed the guy. You were told that these things do not work in our country, and you believed the guy. So that is a suggestion that became your belief, and now you are living it out. You see, so that is heterosuggestion. So this is a system of reprogramming the mind using an external medium to influence the way you think. Our minds are always been programmed through the songs we listen to, the movies we watch, etc., etc. Even the conversations that we have. Let's say you're in a conversation and there's a girl that you love. You really love this girl. And you know you and her can go far. The relationship can work. And then here comes a friend of yours and says, boy, you can't do this. She's out of your league. These are not girls that you can go out with. These girls, she's out of your league. Just forget about it. And you believe the guy. And instead of taking your chances, you let it go. So the guy, your friend, suggested something to you that became your belief. As a result, it influenced the outcome of your life. And many of us are living like this. This is why I'm telling you to say the life that you are living is not your own. Why? Somebody suggested to you and you believed the guy, and that's the life that you are living. So it is time to change that. So that's the first way in which you can reprogram your mind, heterosuggestion. The other one, which is more powerful, and the one that I recommend so much, is what we call autosuggestion. Now, autosuggestion, what is autosuggestion? So autosuggestion is the method of influencing your own subconscious mind or your own mind. And this is done through repetition and positive affirmation. Now, this is very powerful, all right? Autosuggestion is the most effective way of influencing your mind to think in a different way. How do you do this? This is where you begin to tell yourself to say, I am powerful. I can make it. I can become a medical doctor. I can own my own house. I can start my own company. I can do it. You get it? You are speaking to yourself. It is called autosuggestion. It is also known as self-suggestion. All right? This one, it is dependent on you. You yourself telling yourself that you can do it. Not somebody else telling you that you can do it or you can't do it, but you yourself telling yourself that you can do it. In other words, you are forcing information into your mind where your mind accepts that information and believes it, because whatsoever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So now you are telling yourself to say, I can do this. That is autosuggestion. So that is done or accomplished through what we call repetition. Now, there is so much power in repetition. What you constantly repeat to yourself becomes your reality. In other words, if you keep on repeating to yourself to say, I am powerful, I can do all things, I can make it in life, nothing can stand against me, I am big. What you repeat constantly becomes your reality. Why? Because your mind will believe it. The mind does not know what is good and what is bad. It believes every information that is impressed upon it. You get it? So you have to affirm, you have to become your own prophet. You speak to yourself positive words. You can even write them down. You say, by the end of 2024, I am driving my own Mac X, or I am driving my own Benz. You get it? So the more you keep on speaking like that, your mind begins to get that information and begins to restructure it into goals that then you're going to achieve in your life. Okay. Now, affirmation is a practice of positive thinking and self-encouragement, fostering a belief that a positive mental attitude supported by affirmation will achieve anything. This is so powerful. So an affirmation is a carefully formatted statement that should be repeated to oneself and written down frequently. So how do you do it? You have to write it down, all right, in the present tense, positive and personal. So it has to be present tense, it has to be positive, personal, and specific. Let me give you an example. You don't say, I'll drive a car in December 2024. You say, you can even put your name there. I, Moses Siame, I am driving my own Mac X by 31st December 2024. Now, because the mind knows no date, knows no time. The mind exists in a space which has no time, all right, in a timeless environment. So, according to the mind, it is going to consider that information has already been achieved. You see that one? So to the mind, it's you telling the mind. So the mind does not know the difference between December and November and October and all those things. You get it? So once the information gets to the mind considers it as if it has already been done. So it will then begin to produce emotions and feelings that will now move in alignment to what you are suggesting to the mind. That is now very powerful. So you need to develop the habit of writing this positive affirmation. Don't be lazy about it. You are reprogramming your mind. After all, nobody cares. It's your life that you want to transform and no one else's. So there's no need to start impressing other people. Work on your life. Develop these affirmations, because this is the most powerful thing that is going to reprogram your mind, that is going to change the way you think. And the way you think is going to affect what you do and the results that you are going to be getting. Now, affirmations and emotions. Your emotions are the central guidance system. Why? Because what you affirm to yourself must, be mixed with emotions. In other words, whatsoever you want to achieve, you must feel it. Feel yourself driving that vehicle. Now, feel yourself living in that luxurious house. You feel it, even if you are living in a one-room house, apartment. Feel yourself living in a very luxurious apartment, very beautiful house with a very nice landscape, and cars are parked outside. Feel it. You get it? Why? Because the mind doesn't know that it's just you imagining. The mind doesn't know the difference between what is physical and what is spiritual. So you have to feel it. You feel it. Like, you feel it. The moment you feel it, I'm telling you, nothing is going to stop you from having it, because you have already experienced it. The mind has already experienced it. Okay, this is why, let me give you a negative example about this. All right, what we have never thought about. Let's say masturbation. When a man or a woman is masturbating, what they are having is not real sex. Okay? When a person is masturbating, they are not having the real sex. It's not real sex. You get it? But the mind cannot differentiate between real sex and artificial sex. So what the mind will do is that it will send signals to your private part to release or to get to what we call orgasm. So your private part and your mind will consider that as the real sexual activity going on. That's why at the end of masturbation, there will be that pleasure that a person is going to feel, and it'll be as though they were having real sex, and yet it was just them playing with their own private parts and all that. In as much as this is bad and negative, okay, it gets a person into a level of what? Ecstasy, into that level of enjoyment. They know they're just alone, but they enjoy the feeling of sex as though they were doing the actual sex. That's the way it is with your mind. So the mind doesn't know what is real and what is not real. Okay, so once you mix your affirmation with emotions, your mind considers that as already been achieved. Okay, and then from there, a way for you to achieve it will be paved. Okay, so emotion, negative or positive, will help you to know what you are thinking about. So positive affirmation produces positive emotion, while negative affirmation produces negative emotion. And negative mental programming will continually produce negative emotion, and vice versa. Now, in conclusion, I think I've spoken so many things right here. Let me just conclude by saying the mind is a very powerful tool that God has given to man. Man is a spirit, has a soul, and lives in a body. I believe that the spirit expresses himself through the mind, meaning that without the mind, the spirit cannot express himself. So if the mind is not renewed or reprogrammed, it will hinder the expression of the spirit man, and the things that the spirit want, and the things of the spirit won't make sense to that person. So it is therefore required that the mind is constantly renewed, reprogrammed, because it determines whether a person becomes a success or a failure. So this is something that is very powerful. All right, look at your mind, begin to reprogram it, begin to feed it with the right information, begin to feed it with information that is going to be helpful to you. Watch movies that will inspire you to become the better version of yourself. Listen to music that is going to inspire you to bring out the best out of you. This is why, for me, I don't just listen to any music. I don't just watch any movies. I watch movies that will challenge my thinking, that will upgrade my thinking, because I know I must become somebody in life, and that is my responsibility. So I am so careful. I'm so careful with what I feed my mind. I'm so careful, because any information that I allow to penetrate into my mind is what is going to influence the outcome of my life. So I'm very, very much careful with that one. So you have to keep your mind. The Bible tells us to say, keep your heart with all diligence, For out of it are the issues of life. Issues of life. That is Proverbs chapter number 4, verse 18. So out of it are the issues of life. Issues of life. So life is from your mind. And if you let your mind just be unprotected, wrong thoughts will be planted into your mind. Look at the songs that we are listening. Every time we are listening to songs, somebody can just wake up and say, Nali tumpa ine, this and that. And then you are listening to such kind of a song. It is reprogramming you for stupidity. You see, it is reprogramming you for stupidity. So you have to be very careful with what you allow in your mind. This is very important. So I believe with what I've shared, there is more to this. All right, this is we are just scratching the surface, but there is more to this. And I implore you to go deeper and study yourself. Know what you want to do in your life. Then find the right materials, find the right mentors that are going to help you achieve that success. Then go hard on it. Go hard, because the life that you have is the only life that you ever have. So you don't have to take it casually. Go hard on yourself. Become the best version of yourself that you ever be in this world. And thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I mean, this class. I'm so used to podcasts. This class, it's been a joy. It's been a joy, and I'm so excited that I had an opportunity to really come to you and just share with you some vital information that may have the potential to change your life. And this is where I'm done for today. I don't know if there are many questions. You have questions, you know. You can go ahead and questions, contributions, and all that.
Yeah, friends, first and foremost, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation and teaching, because I just wish a lot of people were part of it, because what you have shared is the key to transforming our lives. Like,
yes,
even our theme on the poster is for personal success. You know, one of the things that has hindered us is that we think our limitations are outside us. So we tend to put the blame on certain things. We assume they are our limitations, but our greatest limitation is our mind, the way we think, our mindset, the way we have set our minds.
Yes,
but
sir.
if from what you've shared, I believe we can if we can use this information, our lives will transform. So before I just mention one or two things that have stood out for me, is there anyone with a question or a comment on one of the things that have stood most to you? So you can unmute. If you have anything to share, you can unmute your mic and then speak. Just quickly, friends.
Okay.
So we have
anybody? Yeah, I'm reading the comments here, and the comments have been overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. We are purified indeed. Really deep. It has been impacted indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, seems like people now, but let me just highlight just a few things. I was even just taking some pictures of the screenshots so that I'll have time to really write the notes. So one of the thing that stood most to me, it's the part on when you were talking about thoughts, and you said thoughts are the creation. So you said thoughts are the creation, the coring, and these other things, but I was more hooked on the word the creation.
Yes.
Thoughts are the creation. If we can realize that thoughts are beginning of reality, thoughts are express as this possibility seeking expression. If we can just understand, when we are thinking, we are creating things. And if we can just shift that to be intentional in our thinking, I believe we are going to do great things, because it's not that we are in Zambia or we are in Africa. It doesn't matter where we are. We can build something extraordinary. Imagine I've been thinking so much about Dubai. Dubai in just 50 years, I think 50 years, from a desert, from a desert, and it owned by a person from a desert. And look at the place now. Everyone, even people from first world countries, nations, those who are rich, they'll go to Dubai and they'll flex, boasting like they went to Dubai. It was just someone's idea. Can we be people who are going to dare to dream, dare to think big? Because here is one thing we need to realize: there is no crime against thinking big.
Yeah, exactly.
There is no crime. You are not paying any or a lot of money just to so that we can really think. So this thing that I loved was on attitude. Sometimes we think and feel like we are in this bad state of attitude because of we even say, I don't know why I have this attitude. No, it's your responsibility. Like I love the fact that you pointed the responsibility to us. And we can shift our attitude. And I remember John C. Maxwell once said, attitude is everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Our attitude is everything. The way we respond, the way we behave towards something, it's all based on our minds. No wonder the mind is the key.
Yeah,
the mind is the key. So this one has really stood most to me. And also I can go on and on, but let me just talk on the last one about mind and success. One of the points that I really loved, apart from the common one, I loved the quote of William James, who said, man is what he thinks about all day long. Yeah, we need to really think. We need really to realize. So I've seen Ian wants to say something.
Yes, I can see the
Ian,
hand.
you can go ahead.
You can go ahead, Sir Ian.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Siame, Mr. Nevas, and everybody else who's been part of the lesson. And
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, just want to highlight something that I've learned through tonight's lesson.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Siame, you said the mind is the faculty of thought and reason. And the mind has got the power to imagine, to recognize, and to appreciate. So now I want to take these moments to appreciate all that I've learned.
Yes,
and looking at the impact that I learned also about the heterosuggestion and suggestion. I'm seeing myself to be on a different level.
Wow.
Starting from next year. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I'm sure this is going to impact me in the coming years. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful, sir. That's powerful. That's powerful. Because our goal is to make progress in everything that we do. And that progress begins with how we think. Africans, we have been considered to be, actually they've said it's a dark continent because people that are in it, they don't think and all those things. But we can create a different image by thinking differently. I think change should not be by the handouts that we receive from others, but by the change and the renovation that we make to our own minds. If we can work to think differently, that will compel us to act differently. And if we begin to act differently, that will produce different results. We are not limited by the things that we do not have physically. The only limitation that we have is the limitation that we put on our minds. And for as long as we don't pay attention to this powerful tool that God has given to us, which is the mind, to use it effectively in achieving the things that God wants us to achieve, we will forever be limited in a lot of our lives. So, sir, just go ahead, change that mind, because your mind is your responsibility. It's your responsibility. Change it. Even if the mind refuses to say, this is how I'm used to think, you say, no, this is not how you're used to think. You're used to think like this because I've been careless, because I never paid attention to you. Now we are going in a different direction. And of course, the things that you're going to accomplish are beyond explanation.
That's
Yeah.
true. Thank you so much.
You're
Amazing
welcome.
stuff.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yes,
Anyone?
anyone?
No
Mhm.
questions, people.
Any questions? Questions? Maybe you may have a question about what I was explaining. You may just bring it out, and we can deal with it. And I believe
Anyway, so
quietness is a signal that everyone has understood.
yeah. And otherwise, this evening has been wonderful. And tomorrow we are winding up. We are concluding these 3 days. And this is our first ever. And next year, I believe we have more events
We are going
for.
big. We are going big.
We are going big next year. So let us be on the lookout. Invite your friends. Share the links. I think we'll post our links into the Telegram links, so that people can be part of the community, because this is a movement. We are
Yeah,
going somewhere. We
exactly.
don't want just to change our lives. We want also to impact others so that we can move together. You know,
Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
The Richest Man in Babylon, the book, the opening, the preface. The author said that our prosperity as a nation is dependent upon the prosperity of each one of us as individuals.
Exactly.
So it's pointless if I just prosper alone and others are struggling. We are not going to make impact in a big way. But if
Exactly.
together we can move together and we begin to prosper and succeed together, then we can really transform and impact even others. So this is what it's all about. It's not about Mr. Siam. It's not about me. It's not about Mr. Chinyama or everyone in this session, but it's about us as a community. So we are going to build something in Zambia that will transcend not only Zambia, but will move from Zambia to the nations.
Exactly.
That's the idea.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I think we are going to end here. For me, that's all I have to say. But let us observe time tomorrow. And thank you so much for participating. Mr. Siame, over to you.
Thank you so much for everyone that took time to participate. We are a big community, so let us keep on moving forward. Let us keep on improving our lives. Let us keep on investing into our personality. Who you are today is as a result of what you have allowed in your mind. So let us make those changes in our mind, and we shall see a better future. Thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow as we wrap up our program. Have a great night, and bye-bye.
All right, bye.